the end of the day, selling is transferring a feeling. If you don't have the feeling, you can't transfer it. If you don't have a good, positive feeling, dude, you're an actor. You have to sell and run your business from a place of positivity. And however you get there, God bless you. Welcome to the Pete Primeau Show. It is episode 192, and I am here with Michael Wipfler. He is the director of sales at Mueller Furniture and Mattress, and I cannot wait to talk to Michael, but let's first pay the bills very, very quickly. If you haven't bought my book, Sell a Million, what are you waiting for? 101 tips for furniture and mattress stores to sell another $1 million or more this year. It's a marketing book, not a sales book, even though anything that has my hands on it will bleed sales. I want to thank Steve and Greg for sponsoring the show at Mattress Industry Network Group. If you are in the mattress industry, we want you in our group. Michael, I don't even know. I think we're 2,200 strong, maybe a little bigger than that even. That's how I met Michael inside the group. And that's where a lot of great networking is done. If you want to learn how to merchandise, how to sell, and basically not feel like you're in business all by yourself on an island, join this group. It's 100% free. Hit that QR code and join us in the group. Like I said, over 2,200 strong. You've got owners of manufacturers, you have store owners, you have sales pros that work the retail floor, lots of sales reps and VPs of sales in here as well. So whether you want to just network or whether you want to up your education for free, join this group today. And without further ado, let's get started. Michael, welcome to the show.
Hey, Pete. Hey, how are you? Thank you.
I could not be more pumped because, you know, we've had a couple emails over the last couple of years, but I've never even talked to you. So it's an honor to meet you and to talk to you and to find out a little bit about what's making you guys so successful right now. I mean, I see these pictures up there, Mueller Furniture and Mattress, you know, store of the year, and I'm seeing all these good things. I love your contributions to the group. You're always so positive, you're always so passionate. I love that. I think that's what we need. We need young guys who are passionate, and gals for that matter, who are passionate, who are energetic, who love the business, and more importantly, love people. Let's talk about keys to success in today's retail world. You know, and I think you start at this at a really basic level, which I think is so refreshing because so many times we're looking for double reverses and flea flickers. And dude, you're always blocking and tackling. I love that. And when you told me you wanted to talk about core values, I said, man, that's something that doesn't get enough attention in today's world. So talk us through why you feel that's important and what you do to instill it in your people.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It is really basic, and you're right. We've never met before, and it's funny just through social media how you can feel like you know somebody. And whenever it comes down to passionate sales professionals, it's funny because you get to kind of know people through maybe social media. Maybe never even met them, but you can feel like you're related. So it is great to be able to spend some time with you, and it's I feel like I'm at home. You're right. I mean, I feel. That being successful really does come down to very, very basic things whenever it comes to serving other people through the retail industry. I think that you have to buy the right things. I think that you have to sell them for a little bit more than what you bought them for. And I think that you have to deliver it successfully. And at the same time, you need to be more focused on making friends than just making sales, because your customers are literally everything. And at my level, my customers oftentimes are the employees and the salespeople. And I leave home most days just knowing I have about an hour drive. And so I have a little bit of a cheat code there. I have a lot more time to find like my center of positivity than some other people may. If you wake up and then you're in the office in 14 minutes, well, it might be kind of tough. But for me, I have a morning routine that I center myself, and I have plenty of time to know that, by the time I get to work, my number one goal in my best days that I ever have are whenever I know that all I'm going to do is try to help the people that God puts in front of me to be the very best that they can be that day. And I just want to help them achieve whatever their mission is that day. And we have awesome days when that happens.
Wow, you said a mouthful there, Michael. And I have to tie this into some comments that my friend and my boss at Dream Fit, shameless plug for Dream Fit. If you guys aren't in Dream Fit, you guys should be. And I know you are, Michael. And Chris told me that he has never seen a sales leader, a sales executive who included his people in decision making as much as you. And I'm giving you a hat tip right here and now. This will live forever on YouTube. Very, very few retailers do it that way. Not enough. Your key salespeople are involved in your decision making. And I think that is incredibly huge. And then the other thing that you said is you're working to serve the people that God put in front of you. Yeah. Yeah. You know what? It took me a long time to figure that one out. And the moment I figured it out, I stopped working. I was just doing his work, and it gets a lot easier when uh, it's you're not alone, right? When you're you're doing things for the right reasons with the right focus, and it just seems like there's wind underneath your wings, and it's like you don't get tired when other people get tired, and people are like looking at you like, dude, you should be tired. No, I'm not tired because I'm not working.
Mm-hmm.
That's the secret. I mean, you have found something that's higher than just working, and my hat is off. That is so good. So when did you start to become so collaborative with your sales pros?
Well, so when I've been in the Miller Furniture for 7 years, and I started at Miller Furniture. I just walked in the front door and I said, "Hey, I need a job, and I'm pretty good at selling things. And if you give me a chance, my promise to Mark Miller, I remember sitting there. I said, "Hey, I need to be able to provide for my family for the rest of my life. And if you give me a chance, I'm going to be the best salesperson that you've ever had, and I'm going to be that guy for 30 years." And that was my promise. Now, there's another story. I asked my wife to marry her the day I met her. So I am the kind of guy that makes a promise and sticks with it. But, as I continued to grow and I sold things, what I noticed is it really comes down to product conviction, at the customer facing level. So even if me, as the director of sales or the owner of a company or whoever, if you buy the products and you don't cascade that message into the people that deliver it to the people that are going to purchase it, it doesn't matter what a great product it is or how much you believe in it as an owner or an executive. You need to have the people that are giving that energy and that feeling to the customer. They have to have just as much actually, they should probably have more, right? So whenever they have some skin in the game, there's a lot of pride that goes into that. As a buyer, I know you shared with me that you're a buyer in the past. There's no better feeling than picking something out brand new, it landing on the floor, and it's selling the first day. You go, "Oh man, I did it. I've made a winner," And I think that if you can get that all the way into, 10, 20, 30 salespeople, and they all have the conviction, they all want it to work, because salespeople don't really like change. So when you put something new in front of them, what do? They go to the thing that they know about. So I think that it's great at that top level of bringing something in, all the way to the excitement of the first sale, to have the people that are actually writing the tickets have more conviction than you do.
Yeah. That's so incredibly huge. And I'll tell you, they're vested, right? Because it wasn't your decision, it was their decision. Like they agreed that was the right color, that was the right finish, that was the right style. If it's mattresses, that was the right firmness, that was the right price point, that was the right tech story, whatever it happens to be.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really incredible. So let's go back to the core value things. You said something to me that I think is it's kind of a secret that everybody knows, but very few people actually execute on it. And that is you have an hour drive in the morning and you have a routine that you follow so that when you hit that door, you're ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me a little bit more about that routine. I just want to dive into it a little bit.
Sure, sure. And I just got to say, it's delicate because if you're not careful, that hour of preparation can turn into like an hour of ice in the pitcher. So you don't want to spike too early. I wake up early and I a lot of times I go to the gym, I'll listen to a book on sales, maybe I'll listen to a bit of music, I'll call some business partners on the way, to kind of talk about hey, we need to make this deal, and hey, we want to have this product. And so I use that time really, really wisely so that whenever I get into the store, I can be that fun, energetic boss that people are happy to be around. And if you're the guy that's just saying, hey, we got all this stuff to get done, I need you to work harder and I need you to work more, people are going to probably avoid you, and they're probably also not going to perform their best if they're kind of scared out of their shoes. You want them to be real comfortable, and you need to really be driving the boat. And whenever you walk in, like my first thing that I say to every sales team and all 4 stores that I walk into is, hey, is there anything that I can help you sell right now? It's not what they can do to help me. It's what do you got going on with your clients, your accounts, that I can help you make some money right now. It's more important than what I have to do. And I think that people value that. So that's I mean, I guess that's pretty basic, isn't it?
It's really basic, but we forget the basics sometimes. And I have to say this, I've been a VP of sales twice in my career, wholesale, and there are many VPs of sales that forget that we work for our reps and ultimately we work for our dealers. And cracking the whip on the metrics isn't always the right thing to do. Sometimes it's just as simple as what you said. What do you got that's working that I can help you push across the goal line?
Sure, sure. Yeah. I mean, the metrics are my problem. It's really not theirs, right? And if they're in the position that they're in, it's because I chose them to be there. And at that point, I have a promise to fulfill to the team, and they know the metrics and they know the goals and they know what's expected of that seat. So I don't need to keep telling them about it. I need to help them get there.
Yeah. So tell me your favorite story, Michael, since you've been director of sales, where somebody was maybe not performing the best, and then, through their efforts and your efforts, you were able to get them performing at a higher level.
Oh gosh, it has nothing to do with me. And there's so many. I mean, that's one of the things about working for a 97-year-old family-owned business is, and this is going to seem, I'm going to seem like a politician. I'm not going to answer your question, but here's the deal. So 97 years. I mean, there are people that have skin in the game that have laid this road for us to just kind of steward our way through it, that have, I mean, before I was born, people paved this road for me, right? So it's really hard to take credit for much of anything. But I mean, there are plenty of salespeople that I think, at a level, I think at a certain level of big companies, they have to manage a process. I'm still very blessed to be in a position to where I can know every person, individually. And you can just be able to help them where they're at with what they need. And not everybody needs the exact same thing. And, so we have a lot of really incredible people that work for us. And, I just do my part to help them, get over whatever it is, that thing that might have them in a slump, and they do the rest. And hardworking people all around me. Can't take credit for any of that. I'm just blessed with that.
Well, let's dive into that a little bit more, because ultimately we're coaching people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was told this many, many years ago, and it's an interesting circle of life story. I was told by an owner that this young lady was going to be fired. Her sales performance was abhorrent. And that's not the word he used. I said, just give me a chance. Give me a month or two. I'll work with her every week and I will get her. I will get her there, because I saw something in her.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, I realized when I was kind of pitching that she really wasn't listening. And so I realized that there was something troubling her.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to get into the particulars of it, but I will tell you this. She experienced unbelievable trauma. And she didn't feel good about herself. And you know what she needed? She needed to empty it out. She needed a hug, and she needed to move on with her life.
Mm-hmm.
And she did that. She became a superstar
Mm-hmm.
because she needed somebody else that wasn't part of her dysfunctional family to say that she was a worthwhile human being,
Sure.
that she
Sure.
was good,
Yeah.
and that she could do great things.
Yeah.
And I started to believe in her. And then the owner said, "What the heck happened?" I said, "I can't go into it. I can't tell you about it. It's all confidential, but I
Sure.
can tell you, you have a new salesperson here." He goes, "I
Yeah.
can already see that." So, Michael, it's a small, small world. We've all heard that, right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So, when I was interviewing for a job that became the biggest job of my life, United Sleep Products, um, the last touch point um, was the VP of sales for that company, Tom Neiman, happened to know this young lady and had said, "Hey, do you know a guy, a rep named Pete Primeau?"
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "Yes." "Is he any good?" And she said, "He's the best."
Mm-hmm.
And that was the deal. That was the last little piece of the puzzle for them to make an offer that would literally, Michael, change my life.
Yeah. I got a kind of a current story that's a little bit fun. It really doesn't have much to do with me, but it has something to do with kind of what you just said. So, and our owner, Mark Mueller, he's kind of a mentor to me. He's somebody that I've learned from a lot. And in the beginning, we learned a lot about being patient. And, whenever you are doing what we're doing, sometimes you can be scraping as much as you can and making the most out of every single day, but you still have to be patient for, long-term results. So he taught me that being patient doesn't just mean today, or be patient for a week, or be patient for a month, because sometimes people are like, I've waited 3 months, I've been patient. And that being patient means being willing to do the necessary work until it's time. It could be 4 years, it could be a long time, but if you're being patient and you got the right people, and that's really where that core values that I talk about comes into, because you can figure out if you've got the right people, if they're live up to your core values. But anyway, we've got this salesperson. His name's Coach Jim. Jim Thompson. We call him Coach Jim because he's a baseball coach. And during we hired him probably 6, 7, 8 months ago. And during the baseball season, he had a lot of commitments because he coached baseball, which made him miss them weekends. And, he's also a competitive guy being an athlete, so his sales numbers just weren't where he wanted them to be because he sees other people performing, but he had to miss a lot of days because of that. So anyway, baseball season ended and he did his very first $100,000 month. And I was like, man, I really want to capture this. Like we had a lot of talks about how he was going to get it and to just be patient. He hit his first $100,000 month. And I was like, how can I really add some fire to this? So I went out and I bought him a baseball. And I have this in my office because he just gave it back to me. So I bought him a baseball. And on the baseball, I don't know if you can see it, but right there I wrote the date, which was August. That's the 8th month of the year, right? August 2024. And I wrote 138,319. And so that's what he did in August 2024. And I told him that every single time that he broke 100,000, that I was going to sign his baseball. And he went out and bought a case. And then just yesterday, he said, hey, you're going to have to sign this for September. So you might as well hold on to it. And so now it's 2 months in a row. And he is going to be so excited and just have his own, fire to his butt to fill this baseball up. And I think that I'll never be able to take that away from him. So I don't have to push him every month. He's got a baseball to fill.
Yeah, but you cared enough about him that you did something that was customized just for him, and that's huge, and that's missing. I got to tell you, Michael, you act like, I don't do anything. That's huge. The most important thing a salesperson needs is to know that he or she's supported by their supervisor. They need to know that you're in their corner, that you are for them. And when they know that, they will push even harder because there's something in human beings that when we feel like we're being supported, we just catch fire and we push harder than we ever would just for ourselves. And and I've seen really good salespeople under really bad sales managers just fizzle. And so congratulations on not doing anything and just, being there to capture the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks.
Which I don't believe. So tell me what you're telling me about these core values, but you didn't tell me what they are. What are they that you want your staff to grab a hold of and to live out every day in Mueller furniture and mattress stores?
Sure, sure. And before I say that, I'll tell you that it's not just our staff that we have expectations for these core values. I think that it's something that's important that you should capture with anybody. I feel that our business partners should also live up to our core values, or else it's hard for me to tell an entry level employee that I expect this from you, but I don't expect it from my business partners. Right. So I think that it's really important that your business partners should also live up to the standards of your core values, the people in your life. I always say, when I look at the people in my life and the investments that I make, is this a 3-year person? Is this a 3-month person? Is this a 10-year person? Who are the people that are in my life? Because I get to choose that. But so our core values are serve others before self, extreme competence, honesty in all things, and if I say it, I do it. And I think that those really capture what we're trying to do as a company, and that is to at a very high level of competency, make promises, deliver them, and to do it for other people. And it's going to help us with our mission, which is to make homes comfortable through the beauty and comfort of furniture. Actually, it's to complete homes through the beauty and comfort of furniture. And we're going to be able to do that by living up to our core values.
So good. Serve others before self. What was the next one before honesty in all things?
Oh gosh, I can't remember the order. So serve others before self,
Yeah.
extreme competence.
Extreme competence. That's the one I missed.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of my favorite ones too. I
Mm-hmm.
love them all. So, the interesting thing, I've been saying this for years. People that know me are going to just laugh when I say it because I always say it. You can't give service you don't get.
That's
If
right.
I, as your partner, don't give you great service, you can't give great service to your customers. You're
Mm-hmm.
stuck. And so you're 100% right. Your business partners have to buy in to these core values.
Yeah.
And if we
And
say something to you, we do need to do it
we've got
because
amazing business partners though. I mean, that really helps. I mean, almost all of them do. I have manufacturers that have gone just completely over the top to make things happen for us. And we have a four-store operation in St. Louis, and we demand excellence. And because of that, a lot of times that means leaning into a rep and saying, "Hey, can you go do this for me? Because I'm not going to be able to make it by there today." And I mean, even just the other day, I think the very first time that Chris Tahini walked in one of our stores, he actually transferred a product from one store to another, right? Like we needed something to go from one store to another. And he said, "Hey, I'll do that for you." And I mean, that's the kind of people that fit in around here.
that's awesome. That's awesome. The serve others before self, it's almost like you got to hire for that, Michael. I mean, you can't, I don't, I don't know if you can really instill that in somebody. Maybe I'm wrong. Coach me up. I think you got to find that out in the interview process that this person buys into that.
Yeah, you're right. And have you ever heard of Motorbike Mike? It's Mike McAllowitz. He's a famous author. He wrote The Toilet Paper Entrepreneur and several really great entrepreneurial books. But one of them is called The Pumpkin Plan. And in the Pumpkin Plan, the concept is whenever you're trying to build a big, beautiful business, it's very similar to people that are trying to grow the 2,000-pound pumpkins that are trying to win the state fair. And he said, and if you spend time watering the wrong pumpkins, you're never going to be able to grow that big one that you're really aiming for. And the whole concept comes down to, are you watering the right people? Are you watering the right values? And whether that's employees or customers, because you'll have customers or employees that will drain the energy that the ones that deserve it should actually be getting. And so you're 100% right. You really do need to be very careful with the people that you're pouring into and you're investing your time in, because sometimes the people that deserve you, you don't have time for them, and that's on you.
Yeah, I actually listened to that several times on Audible. It's a great book, and he's a
Mhm.
really good author.
Yeah,
Um,
agreed.
and so this will crack you up. When me and my buddy were working in his garden, he mentioned this, and I'm like, "So, like, what's it about?" Like, he goes, "It's about focusing on the main thing and really pouring everything into it." And I said, "Okay, that's cool. That's probably something that we all need to focus on." So, extreme competence. So, this is one that I think we can train on.
Hmm.
I think we can train on that. So, tell me how you do it.
So, well, one thing that I love about extreme competence is it's not measurable, right? You don't like just check the box. You have to constantly be learning, especially in this industry. And I think one of the reasons why extreme competence is uh, just whenever I believe it was Mark that actually brought up the extreme competence whenever we were picking the core values. And I believe he brought it up for this reason is we deal with very high end custom product. And you really have to know what you're talking about, or else you will help somebody design the wrong product, or you'll order the wrong product and they'll be waiting on delivery day. And if you didn't know exactly what you were supposed to do, and just those itty bitty little things, right? So, what
Right.
we do, it demands extreme competence. And I think that extreme competence also takes a certain amount of personal, just self-awareness to know that it is something that you have to achieve daily. You can't just achieve it one time. You have to stay on top of it and be willing to learn and know that you don't know everything. And but everything's worth knowing, you know. So there are certain things that you're just going to need to know a whole lot about.
So, at the root of extreme competence, what do you think it is? It Karen? Is it competitiveness? Is it wanting to win? Or is it just about serving others in the best way? Like
Sure, sure.
which one of those is really it? I'm just spitballing right now.
You know, so for me, I think it could be a little bit of everything. So whenever you say competitive or caring about others, I think that it wraps up all of that. And another great book is Unreasonable Hospitality. And in Unreasonable Hospitality, they talk about creating the culture of this four-star restaurant in New York, Madison and Park, or something like that. And they have these moments that they call legend moments. And I mean, we're talking about people that put on a show. I mean, it's just an incredible presentation. They'll have people that will save money for years and plan trips just to go to their restaurant because it's such a great culinary experience. But then what they've done is they seek out opportunities to be able to pour in to a customer like Whisper. I think they had stories about how somebody said, okay, now we've done everything that we possibly could in New York except eat a cart stand hot dog. And the busboy overheard that. So, like, for dessert, the busboy ran like 4 blocks away, grabbed the best hot dog in town, and for dessert, they served up, the whole table this hot dog. They said, we didn't want you to leave New York without your experience being complete. So, going back to extreme competence, I think that that's something that Miller Furniture, it's our market differentiator. When people walk into our store and they start to talk to a salesperson that can say, no, hang on. If your family lives like this and that's important to you, we need to look at this because it's made for families like yours. And for them to be able to talk about, wood species in a level that, 99 out of 100 people cannot. And for them to be able to talk about finish colors or fabric builds or, because you're a mattress guy, just being able to serve the customer at a high level based off of, whether or not they should be getting, a firm or a plush or whatever it is. I think that people aren't getting that other places. And that's our tiebreaker. Whenever people can see, well, those people at Miller Furniture, they did everything that they could to make sure that I got the right product. And so we're just going to go ahead and buy here. We're not going to shop around, and we're just going to go ahead and get this over with right now. And I think we win a lot because of that.
That's really, really good. I always think about Lombardi that, they were always chasing perfection, but perfection is not attainable, but excellence is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's extreme competence.
Mm-hmm.
It's never a done deal. It's like every day you got to wake up hungry. You got to be hungry. You got to be, I feel like I'm going to go Les Brown on you. You got to be hungry. um, Number 3, super passionate about this. And I'll never forget Anthony Amato telling me, who built a single sleep shop into 18 sleep shops. And he said, Pete, I can teach anybody how to sell a mattress. He goes, but there's a few things that I need mom and dad to have done. Number 1, they have to have raised an honest child who cares about him or herself and who
Mm-hmm.
cares about other people and has good manners. If they have those basic things, um, I can teach anybody how to sell a mattress. That's easy.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, the hardest part right now, Pete, is I can't find enough people whose parents did the right things. And this honesty in all things just really hits me over the head that, boy, that's something that It's super important. I'm not sure it's trainable, but I do know that from a very young child, either you're taught to be honest or you're not taught to be honest. And there might be a period in your life where you're not especially honest, and then you become like super honest.
Sure.
And that's called being a human being, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
how do we interview for that? That's my question.
Well, and I think that you also have to be willing to admit if you made a mistake, right? You
Sure.
interview people, you get a great first impression, but if they don't turn out being the person that you thought that they were, well, then that's a whole nother conversation. But your honesty in all things is also another market differentiator. It's something that people are looking for. They're buying the person just as much as they're buying the furniture or the mattress or whatever, the car, whatever. Um, Being able to know that I finally found an honest person that I can trust will be the reason people will decide that they're buying from you before they're going to decide what they're buying from you. And I have a 5-step sales process that I teach to our people that I won't get into, but I always say that you sell people 3 things. You sell them, and I believe that you sell them in order. And I call them my 3 Ps. And they're first the person, second the place, and then the product. And the very first thing that you're selling somebody is that you are an honest, competent, trustworthy person that has enough margin to help them sell or to help them solve their problem. That's the first P. And I think that that right there, then from there, you show them that they're in the right place. Not only did they find Michael, the honest, competent guy, he also happens to be in a family owned organization that has been in the community for nearly 100 years. And they know what they're doing. And if anything happens, they're not going anywhere. They're a staple in this community. Then you get to the product, and I think one of the biggest problems is especially with these slick salespeople that don't invest and that may be willing to be dishonest, is they just go straight to the product. I mean, I think that would be a huge red flag for me as a consumer if I walked in and somebody was just trying to figure out what it is that I wanted to buy. I think that they need to know a lot more about me, and they need to show me a little bit more about themselves before we start talking about that.
The reason I'm smiling like the cat that ate the canary is because I actually made a video on this. I was in a hotel room. I was in Cincinnati, Ohio. Um, it was probably 2007 or 2008, um, in that area. And it's one of my first YouTube videos. And I basically identified those 3 things. And then I said, if you sell your product too hard, they can buy the product from any store. If you sell your store too hard, they can buy from another salesperson. But if you spend most of your time selling yourself, they're going to get a great company and they're going to get a great product all at the same time and from you. And so I couldn't agree more. I think it's really important to understand those 3 things and understand that you really need to sell all of them.
Mm-hmm.
You really do. It's not one or the other. You need to sell all of them, but if you're going to lean on one more than the other, sell yourself because I hundreds if not thousands of times in my first 9 years that I was in retail before I was blessed enough to get into this end of the business. um, I'll never forget that look between a husband and a wife, and they're just looking at each other. And I I was very intuitive at a very young age, and it was a blessing from God, really. I mean, just something I was given. And I would excuse myself. I'd say, "It looks like you 2 wanna talk." Excuse
My
me.
line is, all right, guys, I'm going to step away because I know decisions are made when I'm not here.
Ah,
So,
that's great. I love that.
yeah.
Um, so I excuse myself away, and then I come back, and then they're like, "I'll take it." And often I would get this while I'm writing it up. "So, do you wanna know what we were talking about?" Sure, I'll play along. And basically saying, we were talking about you, Pete. We were talking about the fact that you were the first honest person that treated us with respect, gave us the facts, didn't pressure us, and was just a good person. And we felt comfortable enough with you. We've already been to 10 stores. We didn't want to go to 10 more. And the product was the right thing. And we bought because of you. I just want you to know that.
Yeah.
When you get that kind of affirmation as a sales pro on a retail floor, that's when your things are going well, right? And
Right.
and I think that's something that we're all looking for. This last one, this is huge. If I say it, do it. That's so easy to say, Michael, but sometimes it's so hard to do
Yeah.
because of 100 different reasons. And I do understand that as part of, I think it has to be part of our culture.
Yeah.
Because if it's a 50-50 shot, don't say it.
Right.
Like
You're so right. And the thing is what happens is people start to make promises on things that are easily done, but it doesn't have anything to do with how hard the task is. It has to do with how many commitments have you already made. And because if you make a promise, it now needs to be a priority. And again, I tell you, I have so many smart people in my life that have poured into me just a little bit here and there that helps kind of shape my understanding of these things. And one of them is my wife. My wife said one time, and I'll never forget it, and I've shared it with other people, that um, if you were always operating at 100%, you don't have margin for opportunity. And I thought that that was so smart because, if I've already maxed out my day 110, 120%, I'm squeezing the juice out of everything. And then somebody has one of those opportunities to next level, above the top. And then I say it because I know that that is exactly what you want to do. You want to be the person that made it happen over the top. They'll tell their family for years. But you don't have the margin to do it because you're already overcommitted. So I think that leaving a little bit of margin there is very important. And Mark has made a small addendum that we joke around about, and it's if I say it, I do it, and preferably right away, right? Because if you don't, like, okay, I said it, let's do it right now. Because if it wasn't written down, if it wasn't on the agenda, and then I said it, and then 24 hours goes by, well, I said a whole lot of things in those last 24 hours, and you kind of get into that danger zone. I think one of the best stories that I have of I say it, I do it, was just on myself personally. I've been around so many people that always deliver on their promises, especially a lot of them that have delivered to me and have helped me in so many ways. But when we were moving into this warehouse, we had 3 warehouses that we were moving into one. And at that time, we had a very nice couple from the Wentzville area, from the Lake St. Louis store. They had bought this beautiful dining set from us with Amish made dining set with the buffet and hutch. And whenever on delivery day, they forgot to bring the shelves for the hutch. We don't know if we forgot to bring them or if they weren't shipped. Either way, there was some missing shelves. And, she called the store, the shelves are missing. And somebody called me because I was on site helping with the move. And I called the customer and I said, I'm so sorry about your shelves. I'm going to be here all day long. We're moving that whole warehouse, and I will look for your shelves today, and I'll deliver them on my way home. Or if I don't find them, I'll call you and I'll let you know, and I'll order you some new ones. And so at the end of the day, I didn't find them. I looked for them all day long, but I also worked a really, really long day. So it was like 8 o'clock at night by the time I was leaving. And I live about an hour from here. And I was almost getting ready to cross the river, like cross the arch into St. Louis. I was at like Kings Highway. And I remembered that I left my computer at work and I didn't call the customer. And if I kept driving home, that I wasn't going to have any way to call her because I didn't know what her phone number was. And I left her phone number on my desk.
Mm.
So it was like 8:20 at night. And I said, I'm going to be able to tell this story to my salespeople for years, teaching them what we mean when we say, if I say it, I do it. And I turned around and invested an extra 40 minutes into making a phone call to tell her, no, I didn't find them. Right. It wasn't like, yeah, I found them, I'm on my way. It was, I turned around and I didn't tell her anything. I just said, hey, I just wanted to let you know I didn't find your shelves. I'm going to order them right now before I go home. And I'll ask the guy to rush them for us so that we can get, because her home wasn't complete, because we complete homes, so that we can get those shelves in your china cabinet so that you can put your dishes up. And she was so grateful that I called her at like 8:45 at night to tell her I screwed up and I don't have your stuff. And I mean, she'll be a customer for life because we did what we said we were going to do.
And preferably right away. You
Preferably
lived
right
up to
away.
Mark's addendum. And,
Yeah.
and I got to tell you something. I am the same exact way. And I've gotten a lot of compliments over the years about doing things really fast. And I make a joke out of it, and it's a true joke. And I do things right away for one very selfish reason.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't, I get so much stuff thrown at me in a day. There's at least 100 moving parts, if not more.
Yep.
So I have to. I mean, I absolutely have to execute, cross it off, and be done with it. I love that story. That's incredible. And thank the good Lord for an understanding wife, right?
Yeah, my wife, she's well, she's way smarter than I am. She's made one mistake in her life, and you're looking at it.
I can say the truth. The same thing's true for me and Jenny. She's way smarter than me. And if she made one mistake, it was probably me. So serve others before self, extreme competence, honesty in all things. If I say it, do it, and preferably right away. What else, brother? What else?
You know, man, I really just think staying positive and being grateful. That's,
Mm.
I mean, you have to show up. I tell people, one of my sayings is every day is the Super Bowl, right? When you're in sales, every single day is a Super Bowl. I don't care if there's a snowstorm outside on a Tuesday. I leave my house thinking that this is going to be the best day that we've ever had. And because you never know who's going to walk in that front door and you never know what's going to happen. And you just got to leave going, I'm going to give today everything. And it's going to turn out how it turns out. And that's the only way that you're ever going to know if you got all the inches that were on the field to be had. You know, I think you got to stay positive and you got to stay grateful. I mean, if we can all, I mean, I don't know we probably got one person watching this, but look, if we can all just think about how grateful we are to be where we're at today, as opposed to maybe where we were 5 or 10 years ago. I mean, I got to tell you, my life is I live a life that I never thought a guy like me would get to live. And it's just wonderful. So I've got nothing to complain about and lots of awesome people to share it with.
Yeah. So whether there's one or more watching isn't the thing. There'll be hundreds watching. Monday's not the best day. But I do it on Monday because it's the only day I can consistently do it. You said something really, really smart. All the inches that could be had. I love that. I love that because it reminds me of Al Pacino as playing that football coach. What was the name of that movie?
Any given Sunday.
Any given Sunday. And he's just going, and you got to fight for every inch. And I remember having talks like that with my salespeople. Just move the ball forward. Move
Right.
the ball forward. That's all you can do. We all have really great customers, and then we have Meshuggah, right? And
Sure.
we got to deal with them all, and hopefully serve them all as the best that we can. And we can't worry about the limitations that they at times put on us. it's up to us to be creative and try to work
Yeah.
with whatever the situation is. But this staying positive thing, you just hit on one of my favorite subjects. So I got to tell you something. About 10 years ago, Doug Stewart, my dear friend, came on the show and he said something that just pierced my heart. And I wanted to punch him in the head. He said, "There's no such thing as a self made man." And I'm like, I'm a
Mm-hmm.
self made man. And then I started going through it. And Doug gently helped me through a discovery process right on the call.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
said, "How about your parents? How about your grandparents?
Sure.
Did you have any coaches that, made an impact?" And I will post this later. I can't find it right now. How many people, when they're 10 years old, get handed a book from their grandmother, from their grandmother, by Norman Vincent Peale,
Mm-hmm.
called The Power of Positive Thinking?
Mm-hmm.
Has
Mm-hmm.
my life not been blessed?
Right.
I mean, and I forgot all about that.
Sure.
And
Sure.
I almost went into tears. And, we have a lot to be thankful for, the good, the bad, the ugly. It all brought us to this place that we can be grateful for everything, because without everything that went before, we wouldn't be here. And we are blessed. Everybody that's in this business is blessed. I mean, we get to impact people's lives in dramatic ways, really dramatic ways. I mean, you're the director of sales, Michael. When you give somebody the blessing of teaching them some of the things that you've learned along the way to help them make more sales, they can change their life. They can buy a bigger and better house, live in a better school system, get braces for their child, replace the roof that is starting to leak. They can do buy a new car. We can change people's lives. And you know, the more impactful thing is when we teach a sales pro at retail, Michael, how to sell more by serving better, right?
Mm-hmm.
The impact is multiplied throughout all of his or her customers' lives. It's
Yeah.
amazing. It's really amazing when people start getting the right mattresses, the right sofa. I was kind of criticized like 40 some years ago when I first started, because I started asking people a question nobody asked: Is there a TV in the room? Now everybody asked that question, but that nobody had asked that. I wanted to know if it was a family room that was going to be used every day, or if it was a formal, beautiful living room like some people in my family had, but we certainly didn't have. We had a little teeny tiny house, and the family room and the living room was the same room. So, um, I think that we are really in a place where we can impact people's lives, that not a day should go by that we're not thankful for that ability to have impact on people. And we're 6 minutes away from Jim pulling the curtain on us. So is there a question that I should have asked you that I didn't, or something that's burning in your heart that you want to share with us?
No, I mean, not I mean, what you just said about self-made is something that I truly believe, and it sounds like you have a really good friend to call you out and to bring you to perspective. Let's say that. There's a more fun way to say it, right? But let's just say
Oh,
to
he
give you.
called me out. He called me out on the show.
And I believe that truly, because at the end of the day, I think that you're going to be just so much better off if you understand that, um, that you're not self-made and that you have a whole lot of things to be grateful for. And then if you're really smart and if you work really, really hard, maybe you can be able to serve people and help more people on a larger platform as opposed to just, oh gosh, as opposed to,
That's
just
compliments
individual.
of
Now
Chris
instead,
Tahaney.
yeah, there you go.
Do you know what I love about this?
What's that?
Everybody's watching you and listening to you, and your body language, your passion. Absolutely love that. It's what we need in this business.
Well, thank you. Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
such a great team there. Those guys do so much work, and they live with us in a very, very liquid, industry where there's a lot of changing climate, and they know what they're doing. They're hard workers, and they're grateful for the opportunity. But yeah, such a good team there. So that's our Fairview Heights team, by the way. So you're right. So if you're lucky and you get to perform at that level, you can influence more people than just the one standing right in front of you, and you can make a greater impact. But you got to be a good steward of that responsibility, or else it can be taken for you. That's something that you earn and that you have to work really, really hard to keep, or else you don't deserve it. You don't just earn a title of influence one time and then get to keep it forever. You better deserve that thing tomorrow, or else somebody else should move in who does.
So tell me about this picture, because I have something I want to say about it, but I'm going to let you go first.
So, I mean, and this was pretty special. So Chris Tahaney, great guy, by the way, and I'm really excited to finally get to do business with him. So he came to kind of roll out our little Dream Fit line there, and he said, "Hey, I've got 2 foreign exchange students, and I'm getting to introduce them to some people just to kind of talk about, business and maybe give them some tips on, how to run their life." He said that they want to work in business. And I said, well, they can ask me some questions. I'll do whatever I can for them. And, it's really great because my path life, or the path that I took in my life is much, much different than what most people take. And it's very, very different than what these girls here are taking. But whenever it comes down to a couple of the things that I was able to share with them, they were just so grateful whenever I told them that, the number one thing that you can study or invest in is the people in your life. Be very, very careful about the people that you put in your life. Get to know them very, very well, and invest in them with everything you have. And I think that was a message that, a couple girls that are going back to another country to go to school and to start business, they live different lives than we do, but I don't think that message is lost on anybody. Pick the right people and give them everything you have. And then I also told them to save as much money as you possibly can between the time that you're 20 and 30, and that will allow you to take the risks that you need because you'll have a certain sense of security that most people don't have if they're living paycheck to paycheck. So I said, save as much as you possibly can so that you're never in a pinch to where you have to do something that you don't want to do. And those were the only 2 messages that I had to share with them. And I think they appreciated it.
I love the body language here. And if you wanted to go really deep on the crossing of the arms, I wouldn't even go there. I look at the overall posture. You look like a mentor giving advice, and they're accepting the advice and they want more. That's what I see in this picture. And I think that speaks volumes about you, Michael, that you took time out of a busy, busy day to give to somebody you're probably never going to see again in your life, but you poured into them. And again, you're the kind of person we need in this business. So, Michael, thank you for being you.
Hey, man, you're welcome. And I was great it was wonderful to have the opportunity. And I've had a lot of people take time out of their life to pour into me. So I have the responsibility to do it as often as I possibly can.
Well, we have to say goodbye. Michael, thank you so much. If somebody wants to get a hold of you, they watch this and they're saying, listen, I've got a store and I'm struggling, and this guy sounds like somebody I want to talk to. How do they get a hold of you?
So they can email me. It's real easy. It's Michael at MillerFurniture.com. That's super simple. They could reach out to me on Facebook Messenger or LinkedIn. And yeah, I mean, I'm happy to tell anybody anything that I know. I'm not certain that it will be all the keys, but maybe you'll pick up something, right?
So let's make sure me and you don't be strangers. Uh, um, I want to help you. I know that you want to write a book on sales, and I'm going to be the first person that buys it. And so, if you need any like coaching up on like how to structure that effort, I can tell you what I did, and maybe you can make a few less mistakes than I made.
Unlikely.
Oh, I
Yeah,
am
thank you.
sure of it. But thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time out of a super busy schedule. And thank you for Miller Furniture and Mattress for allowing you to be on the Pete Primeau show today.
Yeah, thank you.
No, thank you. Have a great day and sell a million, everybody.